Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into this live. So I figured that we could have some tea together and do some mom chat today. Today, I really wanted to talk about evening routines, especially with kids, and the things that I do to kind of smoothen out that process so that my kids can go to bed on time and mama can have her free time and I can relax and know that my kids are taken care of and the house is decent and presentable before I go to sleep. And so I want to talk about this because before I got my systems in place, this was an area that I used to struggle with. And, after talking with some of my people from past trainings, I realized that this is like a really big issue. Just having that streamlined evening routine that helps you feel like in control and just in control in the midst of chaos. I feel like my evenings are probably the most stressful part of my day. I feel like there's a lot that needs to get done. And before, I used to feel like crazy in my head and like I was just trying to I was just literally just trying to like survive, in survival mode, trying to make sure that everyone got to bed on time. And I felt like things were very unpredictable and I felt like that lack of control. But once I got my systems in place, now things are still crazy, but it's kind of like when you get to be centered in the eye of the storm, all the craziness is going on, but it's like controlled chaos because I know what I'm doing. I feel confident that we're on track to hitting my goal, which is once again to get everyone in bed at their appropriate bedtime, to make sure that the house is clean and to make sure that I have plenty of time for self-care afterwards. So I'm going to share the top 3. I think it's actually going to be 3.5 tips, but the top 3 tips that have helped me create that in my life, just in case there's anything that you may be able to draw from this that might be able to help you improve your evening routine for yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want to say is, number 1, as I say with all my videos, if my tips don't work for you, that's okay. If you're happy with what you're doing, that is fine. Not every piece of advice is for everyone, but I know that I'm talking to a very specific person, basically me before I got my life together. And even now I say I got my life together. Y'all know I'm a work in progress. I'm very honest about that. But basically when I was struggling, but if you're doing fine, like all advice on the internet is not for everyone. So keep doing what you're doing. This is for people who feel like there's something missing and they're kind of wanting that greater sense of control with their evening routine. And also, I need to make sure to introduce myself. Hi, my name's Ladae. I'm the creator of this channel, Love Always Ladae. And on this channel, I just talk about my journey with basically more peaceful living, peaceful homekeeping, and hey, Megan, thank you so much for jumping on. And so I just talk about things related to that. And so I will go ahead and get started. So the first tip that has helped me kind of smoothen out my evening routine is starting earlier than you think you should. Basically, you guys know on this channel, I talk a lot about perfectionism, okay? And one thing that people with perfectionism struggle with, whether you identify it as one or not, is we wait until we have this feeling like, oh, now's a good time to start our evening routines. Now's a good time to, do something. And there's a good chance that if you're a recovering perfectionist, waiting until you feel like it's the right time, it's probably already too late. You've probably already pressed yourself up against the wall. We were talking about this in my group the other day, so it just reminded me of that. But you've already pressed yourself up against the wall and you've created a situation for yourself where now you're going to be stressed out. So I definitely recommend starting your evening routine way earlier than you think you should, even if it feels weird. You said your shower. What is, 6 p.m. Yeah, definitely. Start way earlier than you think you should. I actually start getting my kids ready for their evening routines. We start as early as 5 o'clock. I'm so serious. My boys go to bed at 8. My girls go to bed at 7. And in my mind, that is my trigger. And the way that I came up with that time, which kind of ties into point number 2, is I reverse engineered it. I thought about all the things that have to get done every single night. And I was just like, well, if the kids go to bed at 7, that means this needs to have happened by 6, which means that I probably should be working on this by 5. And I reverse engineered it. I think, another issue with people who struggle with perfectionism, which if you're not sure what I'm talking about, if you're new to this channel, hang tight, watch some of my other videos. You'll pick up pretty fast. But another issue with perfectionists is sometimes we tend to overestimate like how much we can get done within a short amount of time, and or we underestimate how much time things actually take to get accomplished, which also contributes to us kind of waiting until we're in a situation where we're back to do a quarter and now we're like stressed out and we're feeling out of control. And so the thing that helps me with that is just start earlier, even if it feels weird to start, getting ready for your evening at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever time it needs to be for you, overriding those thoughts that tell you that it's weird and doing it anyway. This goes for everything. I'm not even just talking about like evening routines. One issue that is very, prominent for people who are overcoming perfectionism is, for example, struggling with Christmas. We always feel stressed out. We want to pull our hair out by the time that Christmas stuff comes. And it's because, if you don't want to be stressed out for Christmas, you need to start planning for Christmas in October. But that can feel incredibly strange, and weird. So we don't do it. We wait until our feelings tell us. And by the time our feelings tell us it's time to get things going, it's already too late. We're already at the point of stress. So go ahead and save yourself some stress. And if you are able to start those routines, reverse engineer your routines, and figure out what time you should be starting to avoid the stress. And so with that being said, I do know that everybody's evenings are different. Currently, my kids are not involved in a lot of activities. And I know some of you guys have your kids in lots of activities. So you're not actually home. You can't even start things early. And so for that, I don't have any suggestions besides, maybe preparing things earlier in the day, maybe like getting your dinners and stuff, in the crock pot, so that when you come home, that's one less thing you have to do. That's the only thing. But for those of you who don't have a lot of things going on in the evening, I definitely recommend starting as soon as you can. So that leads us to point number 2. Once again, we're talking about the tips that I've learned to kind of nail your evening routine, especially when you have kids, so that you can make it predictable. You can feel confident and in control, and just feel like you're just more in control of that process. So number 2 is have hourly milestones so that you can tell if you're on track or not. And so what I see a lot of people do that I think creates stress is they try to follow a block schedule. And I am team block schedule, you guys. But what I'm not is team fill your block up with so much stuff that stresses you out. I very much like having the milestones. So between 5 and 6, if I accomplish this one task, I know that I'm on track to getting my kids in bed on time. I like it like that. But a mistake that I see a lot of people, I think it's a mistake because it causes people to get stressed out and throw the whole system out the window. But a mistake that I see is people, they feel ready to get on a system. They feel ready to start this block scheduling life, and they overschedule their blocks, and they literally set themselves up to be stressed out, or they set their goals to be unrealistic, and then they just toss out the whole thing. But the way that I like to do it is I like to have milestones for each hour. So between 5 and 6, if my kids, my twins, that's who my husband helps me with the boys, because the boys are becoming more independent because they're getting older. But between 5 and 6, if my girls have a bath, that is a milestone that I like to have completed between that hour. Does it take me an hour to give 2 babies a bath? Absolutely not. So I can, position that in that hour as it feels appropriate. If things are kind of crazy, I need to catch up, or if maybe we're not home for most of that hour, it's still fine because I've given myself plenty of cushion to get that done within, that time parameter that I have set for myself. If I want to let the kids play in the bubble bath, I'm not rushing, I'm not stressed. I can do that because I have that time. Or if I feel like, I just want to get this done really fast, it could take me, 20 minutes, and then I have 40 minutes of quote unquote free time. That's not actually free time, but at least I know that I'm on track to meeting my goal. For the next hour between 6 and 7, that's my dinner hour. And once again, typically for dinner, this is how my grandma used to do it. And I love this. This is what I do for myself. Especially with the kids being home with, the quarantining. I'm virtual schooling my kids. I just make a big, like, double batch of whatever we have for lunch. And that's what you're eating for dinner. It used to be the other way around, where I would give that to them for dinner and they would eat it for leftovers the next day. But no, I make a big batch of something for lunch and they're eating the same thing for dinner, unless they want to eat leftovers or something like that. Or if for some reason that didn't work out, maybe I didn't make enough, then we're eating something easy like spaghetti or something really easy that I can whip up and feed my kids between the hours of 6 to 7. So that's how I do it. If I have my dinner prepared and my kids fed between the hours of 6 to 7, I know that I'm on track. And then at 7 o'clock, the girls go down. And then between 8 and 9, the boys do what they do. They have to help me with their cleaning routines and they can kind of relax. If they haven't had their baths, they will do that at that time. That's between them and my husband. And 8 o'clock, they go to bed. So basically, I'm saying this to say that I have milestones for every hour. So this helps me in my mind feel like things are under control and things are okay. Because as long as I'm hitting my little milestones, then I know that I'm doing okay and that I don't have to like overexert myself. I don't have to rush. I don't have to do all the things. And also, if I notice that things are not kind of meeting within those milestones, that's my cue that I need to pick up the pace. And so because things are so spaced out, if I need to, for example, like I didn't get to do the baths between 5 and 6, it's reasonable for me to do the baths and to still serve dinner to my kids between the hour of 6 and 7. So like, it's just a signal to me that I need to pick up the pace so that I can meet my goal, which is to get my kids to bed at a certain time. Also, this helps me also with the problem of one thing I used to do is when I felt like, oh my gosh, I have so much to get done. I need to do the baths. I need to do dinner. I need to do this. I need to do that. I would literally just be rushing from task to task. Like as soon as I did the baths, I would run to this task. As soon as I did that, I would run to the next task. And by leaving that little bit of space in those hours, so let's say I give the kids the girls a bath, and I still have 40 minutes left, I use that time to start getting ahead on my routines, like my cleaning routines, my peaceful homekeeping routines. And I do it in a way that doesn't feel stressful. Like in my mind, I'm like, girl, I'm getting ahead. Like I have this extra time. Let me just go ahead and do this little 5-minute room rescue in this bathroom. So I know that this is done. Let me just go ahead and do this 5-minute room rescue in this master bedroom, lock the door so the kids can't mess that up. And it's done. So in my mind feels like it's getting ahead of the game. Do I have to do that? Absolutely not. Would I be successful if I waited until the end of the night when the girls were in bed to get those things done? Yeah, but it makes my life easier when I feel like, I'm getting ahead of the game because I have all this extra space and gaps in my schedule because I didn't overschedule myself. And so on the nights where, I'm able to get most of the cleaning done, before the kids go to bed, that's always great because it always feels like a treat to me. Like, I get to end the night a little bit earlier than I normally would. So for me, it just gives me this peace of mind in my head to know that I'm on track, that I need to speed up, that I can slow down. Maybe I can start getting ahead on stuff when I have things kind of blocked out and I have those milestones to help keep me on track. And it just makes the night feel more predictable to me. All right. So the last tip that I have, which I think I kind of hit on it a little bit, is to integrate your cleaning routines into your schedule. And I talked about how I do that. You can do that in a way that feels more structured if that's more comfortable to you. Maybe instead of having those milestones with, 1 or 2 major objectives within each hour, maybe you can incorporate some of your cleaning in there. I used to do that when I started my system. I used to have cleaning tasks I needed to check off. And so you can do that. For me, I just prefer to set my timer for 15 minutes at the end of the night and know that that's a solid in my routine. So no matter what, if I get ahead and I'm able to knock out a few things off my list in advance, great. If not, I have that 15-minute routine at the back end of my routines to pretty much kind of seal off the night. So however you want to do that, that works. But just be thinking about that. And I think that if you find that you're not, rushing from thing to thing to thing to thing, which can happen when you don't kind of take a moment to plan out your night, or which can happen if you wait until the very last minute to start your routines, I think that you'll find that you can be giving yourself a head start on some of the cleaning so it doesn't feel like so much at the end of the night. And if you can't, if things are too crazy and you have to wait until the end of the night to work on your cleaning routines, what I always suggest is just set your timer for 15 minutes and do what you can do for that evening routine. You guys know what my top 3 tasks are: dishes, laundry, hot spots. For 15 minutes, work on those things at the back end of the night, at the very end, and do what you can do. And if you don't finish within the 15 minutes, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. Because what you probably would have done, what I used to do before I kind of created this rule for myself, is I used to do nothing. I used to be like so overwhelmed by like, look at all the dinner dishes, look at this mess, the kids threw stuff all over the floor. I'm exhausted because I just went from task to task to task. So I just used to do nothing, and I'd just be like, I'll get it in the morning. I'm only one person. I can only do so much. But what I find is if I set my timer, number one, it lowers the expectation in my head that I'm supposed to clean all of it. I'm like, no, just do what you can for 15 minutes, make it better. And then whatever you don't finish, that can roll over to the morning. And I will let you guys know that most of the time, like 95% of the time, I get it all done. I get it done within the 15 minutes, or I'm so close to getting it done by the time the timer goes off that I'm like, let me just go ahead and finish the job because I'm almost there. And so I find that setting my timer and just making that a rule helps me not have so much to carry over into the morning. And then things usually resolve. Like if there's anything left over, I'm usually able to resolve it first thing in the morning. So that helps me, get the kids together. And it also helps me go to bed with the house in a respectable condition at the end of the night when I tell myself to set that timer. So yeah, let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say. So yeah, basically I just wanted to encourage you guys to not wing your evening routine, just that little bit of structure. You don't have to overdo it, but that little bit of structure is kind of like was the missing component for me. And once I just added that little bit of structure into my evening, it made the world of difference. And so now I feel like thinking about my evening routine like that, it helped me get consistent with evening routines, period. Like doing my cleaning system, it helped me get consistent with that because as I mentioned before, what I used to do is wait until I used to do all the most urgent things and then wait until the end of the night to clean. And I used to be just so tired and worn out because the pace was so fast and I just felt exhausted that it was very hard for me to establish an evening routine. But once I kind of, started getting consistent with it, along with that 15-minute timer, spacing things out, it's helped me support my cleaning habits because now I get to be consistent with that because it doesn't feel so stressful for me. It also helps my evening routines feel more in control, feel more predictable, because if I'm off track, it's easy for me to tell, am I hitting my milestones or am I not? And do I need to speed up or am I good to go? And also, by having that flexibility and extra breathing room in my schedule, it helps me just get a head start on the cleaning so I don't have so much to do at night. And that's optional as far as I'm concerned, like to get a head start, but I'm motivated to get a head start because I want to relax and have my mom time as well. So yeah, that's all I have for today, but I'm curious to know what works for you guys, because I can only share my story. I can only share what works best for me, but I do know that there's a variety of people who come from a variety of lifestyles. And maybe you're not home at 5 o'clock. Maybe, you're still driving in from work or something. I don't know. Maybe you're at a baseball game or who knows. And so I would just love to know kind of what your ideas are and the things that you guys try to make those evening routines flow. Because I do feel like it's so important to kind of feel like you have a grasp on that so that you can establish, your cleaning habits so that just overall the home management feels easier to control. This is from Modest Mommy. Yes, I like that idea. Thank you so much for being here, Modest Mommy and Mama Bear Fitness. Thank you. Structure is something I didn't have growing up. I'm learning it. It's so important. It's so, and it's like crazy. For so long, I felt like structure, and I tell you guys this all the time, but I felt like it was just something that I can't do. I'm not consistent. Like, I don't feel like I know what my life is going to look like tomorrow. Maybe I won't have the energy. Maybe I'll feel too lazy tomorrow. Who knows? Like, so I used to just feel like that was something that I couldn't do. But it's, for me, learning to live in the middle, like not winging it all the time. For me, I used to call that going with the flow. My word for it now is winging it. That's what I was doing. So not winging it, but not like overly doing it, because I think that I was trying to be either or. Either I'm winging it or I'm like booking every 15 minutes. Like, I'm scheduling this down to the minute. And that didn't work for me either. But what does work for me is like being sensible about it. And I like to use the word guidelines, but it's pretty much the same thing, giving myself that little bit of structure, but having guidelines, like a little tiny checklist that needs to be met within this hour. And by tiny, I mean tiny, like 1 or 2 things that I know will help me progress toward my evening. I can absolutely, get all those things done in a condensed amount of time, but it does help for me to like spread it out, have my milestones, and have that structure so that I don't feel as overwhelmed by it. And if you're struggling with your evening routines and trying to be consistent, I think that putting that little bit of structure, spacing it out, I think you guys will find a lot of relief. It won't feel as strenuous when you space it out. And also, I think it'll help you feel more in control so that you can be more consistent with those evening routines. And this is from Emily Curtis. I've been trying to create habits, but I'm currently 24 weeks pregnant with our first child. My husband is doing a great job, but I feel all we can do is laundry, dishes, and shine my sink. Ever. Shine my sink. Or I'm assuming that's every day. I feel like, Emily, number one, girl, you're pregnant. You're pregnant. It's okay. Give yourself grace. Like, you won't be pregnant forever. And I do understand that it can be frustrating when you're in kind of like a season where you feel like you want to get stuff done and it's kind of hard to do. But if your pregnancy is anything like mine, which I know every pregnancy is different, for me, I just wasn't the most comfortable. I didn't have the most energy and I wasn't feeling the best. And, if that's all you can do, it's so much better than doing what I did when I was pregnant. I'm not going to say I did nothing, but I didn't do very much. I was literally on the struggle boat. So kudos for you. And also, that's so awesome to have that husband who is supportive and who's helping you out around the house. That's amazing. So my suggestion would be just to give yourself grace. Like, this literally is a season and it will be over before you know it. And then you'll be back in there. So Emily also says, oh, okay, I see, every other night. So yeah, just do what you can. Do what you can. So my weekly home blessing and zones are all on the weekend. Girl, you doing all that? Oh my goodness, bless your heart. Right. I am sleeping so much after work. I used to do the same thing. I used to literally, I remember when I was with my second kid, I would go to work. I would come home, pick up my son from school. Literally, I was just going through the motions. Let me feed him and give him a bath. And we were in bed. I don't even think the sun had a chance to come down. Like, we were in bed. I was so exhausted. So kudos to you for sticking with it. And I feel like that's totally appropriate, especially if you're working. I'm not even sure if you said you were working, but I feel like it's totally appropriate. If you need to do your weekly home blessing on, the weekends and do your zones. I just keeping that down to a minimum, like an hour for that weekly home blessing and maybe 45 minutes to an hour for the zones. I feel like for me, I don't like to do it that way, but a lot of people are successful because for some people have more energy to support that. So I think you sound like you're doing your best and, just stick with it and give yourself all the grace in the world, because it's not easy to bring life into this world. So I feel like you're doing great. And then Mama Bear said, I did nothing. Creating people, it's not like, I feel like I was really shocked at how difficult it was to bring life into this world. Because if you ask anybody on social media, it's a beautiful thing, which it is beautiful. It is a beautiful thing, but it's also extremely exhausting and difficult. So I totally understand. And this is from Lisbeth. Hi from Vancouver. Hey, girl. Thanks for being here. So we're just talking about how to feel on top of your evening routines so that you can be consistent with your cleaning habits. You know, you're more likely to be consistent, I think, with your cleaning habits if you feel some sense of control. You know, and as I mentioned, I'm not over here telling y'all that, you know, the operations are just so smooth and everything is cool and calm and quiet over here. It's a complete like crazy show over here. But like I said, it's like I feel calm because I feel like I know what I'm doing. I feel consistent and I feel like I have these little markers that let me know that I'm doing fine and things are under control. So, you know, like which is I've come a long way. That's all I'm trying to say. I've come a long way because I didn't always used to feel so centered when it came to prepping my home and prepping my family for bed. So anyway, I think that's all I have for you guys today, unless you guys have any questions or thoughts for me. Before I go, I wanted to tell you guys about the Peaceful Homekeeping Challenge. I need to go ahead and create like names for this. I know that you guys are probably extremely confused about like which challenge is what. So I'm going to try to create some clarification for that. But for those of you who are new and if you need help or support with systemizing the processes in your home, I have a free Peaceful Homekeeping Challenge that you can get more information about. You can find the playlist on YouTube and you can learn more about the systems that I use in my house. Also, there's like an email sequence that goes along with that with supporting, encouraging emails if you want to do the challenge on your own. And so one thing you got to know about me is I just don't like being stressed out and I don't believe in doing the most. I believe that, you know, if we're reading the book, The Tortoise and the Hare, I'm the tortoise. I believe in that slow and steady life. And, you know, if you're slow and steady and you can be consistent, it adds up over time. So that's kind of what I teach moms to do so that we can feel more peaceful in our homes, but still be getting stuff done. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave some information down below so that you guys can check that out. So, I think that's all I have for you guys today. Definitely leave your comments if you have tips or thoughts or ideas that you would like to share that could be helpful to other moms. You know, definitely tips or anything that I didn't cover. Obviously, I can only share what works for me, but I know that we have a variety of different backgrounds and lifestyles, and I would just definitely love to hear your thoughts on this topic. So thank you guys so much for being here. Please like this video. That helps my channel out so much. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.